Racism. Ooh, those enlightened beings believe that we must not discuss these issues that affect us because you see, they are making all the money, they have all the money, the law of attraction dictates that they are swimming in wealth, and so they don't care anymore about anything else because they're great, they're good. Oprah comes to mind. On the subject of race, I recall Oprah saying that when she was a young girl and she worked at a department store, she remembers them placing her in every department, but they would never put her on cash. So obviously she was well aware at the time that that was racism, that they believed that black people are thieves and will steal and will not allow them on cash registers. I see this being played out here in Toronto at this time, where South Asians are a large number of the new immigrants, growing immigrants. They are taking over this country, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying as it is, as I see. I live in India, so I can see it firsthand. But all the businesses, all the places, they are being bought and ran by South and East Asians. And when I go to the supermarket, even the supermarket that's owned by a Jamaican man, I see mostly Indian people, Indian women at the cash. And when I go to the Asian market, it's purely South Asian females on the cash. You don't see a white girl, you don't see a black girl, you don't see any other but Indian. Okay, so right here in your face. Now, this is a result, me recording this is a result of me having just listened to CBC Radio on, I believe, it's today the 31st or the 30th? I don't know, it's right before New Year's, so is it New Year's Eve, something like that. And if you can go into their archives and check their programming for around this time, you will find this. I thought it was a very interesting and important subject to discuss at this time, racism in the construction industry. And I wanted to speak on it because I heard one of the guys who called in to tell us about his experience as a construction worker. He broke down in tears, okay? Because women can talk about things, but men are not really given a license to express themselves and their feelings. He broke down in tears and had to hang up, okay? Thankfully, the station, CBC Radio, they have his phone number and can call him back, because his opinion is valid as is everyone else's, including mine. So all of that reminded me of my very first boyfriend in Canada was Italian, and I met him at an after hours punk rock club, and that first time we went from the club to sit in his car and drink, right? He had in his car already, he had orange juice and he had vodka, okay? And he was making us how do you say, not Bloody Caesars, they call them, screwdrivers, I believe they're called, orange juice and vodka, screwdrivers. So we were having screwdrivers and we were talking, we were chatting. He's a Gemini, so that's a lot of chatter because Gemini and Aries get along very well. But this guy had a problem, and I was not aware that he is very heavily an alcoholic. He was at the time young. We were young, he was like 20 something, and I was 21 and he was 23. So that, and the reason I decided to choose him, well, because I was a virgin still, right? At 21, I was a virgin, because in high school years earlier, all the girls already had sex and there was no virginity left, and I was the last one, and I decided, oh my God, I don't want to be an old maid. I want to lose this virginity. I don't want to, to turn 22 and I'm still a virgin. That's a bit much. So that's why I decided, okay, he's my boyfriend, because we hit it off so well. And he was a construction worker, and he was abusive. That's the problem, because he would drink, and when he drank, and he smoked a lot of hash, because they talk about black people and drugs. This is the guy, he introduced me to so-called drugs, which I don't really consider hash and cannabis. I don't consider those drugs, really. So anyway, I had never done those things, and he introduced me to those things. He liked hash, and he loved vodka and beer. So let's say on the weekend we're getting together, we would rent a hotel room, he'd get a case, a 2-4 of beer, and his big 40-ouncer of vodka, and his container of orange juice. And we would always be by the ice machine so he could mix his drinks and smoke his hash. And he was making a lot of money as a construction worker. So much so that when he had to purchase a vehicle, he did so with cash. He paid in cash. So that was my boyfriend. That was my first boyfriend. I was a virgin. And do you know, this guy didn't want to believe that I was a virgin, because he believed all that he'd basically been told about black women, that we're just whores. We're just whores, right? So we're whores, right? So he pursues me, a whore. What does that say about him? But anyway, I was a virgin when he met me and deflowered this whore. So how the hell could I be a whore if I was a freaking virgin? But anyway, on to the next. We usually hung out in his car. We'd park, and we'd often go to the drive-in movies. I really never saw any of the movies. And we would also rent hotel rooms he could afford. So that was it. But whenever he got drunk, oh yeah, and he was addicted to porn, big time. So he would bring a suitcase. Yeah, so he would be very violent when he got drunk. And unprovoked, he would start just beating the crap out of me. And he was sex obsessed, like a deviant, because he would have a suitcase filled with porn magazines. I've never seen such large porn collection, in addition to another case with video. At the time, the videotapes were big, those big things. He would have a whole bunch of those, and all the magazines. He would take the magazines, open to the centerfold, or his favorite spread, or his favorite model in the magazine. So, and all these pages of his favorites were spread out on the bed. And here I thought, oh well, it's my boyfriend, he's into that, and I like girls. So we would be having sex, surrounded by all these images of porn, spreads, pussies and titties, and it was just so much that after a while I got sick of it. I'm like, wait a minute, like, this is not normal. Here I am, I'm a beautiful girl, beautiful body, young at my age, and all these, and furthermore, these models are all white. Why did you come after me, a black woman? And there were, of course, some few magazines with black women, but it's all these white girls. It was weird. It was weird. You guys are weird. And that was my first boyfriend, so I didn't know. What the hell did I know? Even at 21, I was very naive. I'd been sheltered. So this is all new. And I'm trying to please him, right? I'm trying to do what he likes. But this guy would beat the crap out of me, man. And I was embarrassed and ashamed to tell anyone. So I was putting up with it. And he told me, he would say that he's going to beat me and no one would be able to detect, right? Because if he just hauls off and smacks me and I could have a black eye or busted, he would make sure he wanted to beat me with, like, when we used to have telephone directories, those very thick books, he'd want to hit me with that and all this shit. And he would say, like, I'm gonna lock you up in a glass cage in the basement and no one will be able to see you. And the worst thing he ever said was, one time in a big fight, he said, I'm just gonna fucking beat you to death. I'm gonna take you to my construction site and I'm gonna bury you with my bulldozer. Mind you, he operated the rubber tire backhoe. He did not operate a bulldozer. Bulldozer operators were paid more than he was paid. Anyway, he threatened me with that. He also operated the roller as he deserves. Assholes deserve the roller, jerk. So Mr. Roller rubber tire backhoe threatening to bury me with a bulldozer. And I said, oh really, you're gonna do that? Well, the police will find my body and you will be in big trouble. And he said to me, man, that's how I know the racism of these people is so deep. He said to me, well, your body will never be found because no one is gonna waste their time searching for you because you're just a fucking nigger. And the police don't waste their time with niggers. This is what this guy told me. Italian guy pursued me at a nightclub, seeing clearly that I'm a black woman. He hates black people. Mind you, he had a close friend who was Jamaican. This close Jamaican friend who was black, even blacker than me, when he kept talking about his Jamaican friend so much, I said, hey, why don't you introduce me to your friend sometime? Because I also had Jamaican friends, right? And he told his Jamaican friend what I said about introduction. And the Jamaican said to him, me not like no small island gal. This Italian came back and told me exactly as the Jamaican spoke that he don't like small island because I'm from a small island, Dominica. He's from a big country, Jamaica. And him not like no small island gal. That would be me. Well, thank God. Because he was a piece of shit anyway. So, this Italian ex-boyfriend, that was my first boyfriend. Imagine losing your virginity to such a scunt. A scunt. I threw away my purity to this trashy individual. Because why? Because of how I had been mistreated in my home. Had I not been mistreated in my home, I would have chosen better for myself instead of just going along with the first white nigger that comes along. So he told me once that it was summer and it's summer holidays when students going to look for jobs to make some money instead of just fucking around all summer. This friend of his who was of a background of he called him native. They don't say indigenous. They're light complected. It's the darkies like me who say indigenous. We're indigenous. The others who, I guess they screwed around with Europeans, they call themselves natives. I don't know. Indigenous implies and means that you were there first, original, like they called aboriginal before native. Anyway, he had a friend who was mixed native and Scottish native background, named Bruce. Bruce said to his Italian friend, my then boyfriend, he says, hey, you think you can get me a job on your site? Because my boyfriend's always talking about his job site, and I'll tell you things they did on that job site. His friend asked him, so he asked the foreman, hey, one of my friends is looking for summer work for the summer. He wants a summer job. Can he apply? Would you hire him? And the foreman said, and of course the foreman is Italian, the foreman says, is he a paisan? Is he a paisan? And, my boyfriend is like, no. He says no, he's Scottish and native Indian. And the foreman says, well, no, I won't hire him because I only hire paisans. What does paisan mean? Go and do the research and find out what paisan means, okay? They only hire their own kind. Go into Chinatown, you will see. only Chinese working with the Chinese. And yet, the white people in Canada who had the businesses, they had to hire people of any background. Black, brown, yellow, white. They had to. So why is it that the Italians can only hire the Italians and the Portuguese only hire Portuguese? You know, they do that. The Chinese only hire Chinese. They do that. They've done that for so long. And most of the construction jobs were only going to Italians and Irish. And that's why this broadcast was on CBC this morning talking about racism in construction, because so many black men are just sick and tired of the racism in construction. And in the past 7 months, they found 7 nooses. A noose for each month. Welcome to Canada. Why? I'll tell you why too. I noticed in high school, even in junior high, I didn't notice that as much. But in high school, the Jamaicans and the Italians were always fighting. And when I say Jamaicans and Italians, I mean the males. They were fighting, big fights, because Italian guys were sexually pursuing black girls. And black guys were pursuing Italian girls. Italian guys were mad at the black guys for screwing the Italian girls. And black guys were mad at Italian guys for screwing the black girls. Here these guys are so stupid. Let the girls decide who they want to be with, first of all. How about that? But it's best if they stick to their own type, their own kind. Especially the black people. So free to go off with everybody. But I'll tell you, go with them. Because that's how you're going to learn. That's how I learned. It was from being... Because when you go with these people, right? Be mindful that you don't choose from the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean by that? Where there is violence, domestic violence. For instance, my then boyfriend's mother would get bashed, beaten up by the father. Because he was a drunk. He was an alcoholic. He worked his ass off at the construction site. When he came home, he had his drinks. He would pummel the woman. The woman was the sweetest. That little Italian lady was so sweet. The father was a belligerent piece of shit. In fact, his sister told me, because when I got tired of her brother just beating me for like in a drunken rage, I called to find out about him. Why is he like this? And she tells me that. She says, listen, I left home at 15. You never hear about an Italian girl leaving home at 15. But I had to, because my father used to be so enraged. In a fit of rage, he take me by my head, by my shoulder, shove my head into brick wall. Bam! Into the wall. I couldn't take that. I'd seen that happen to my mother, and now he was doing it to me. I had to get out of there. She's been on her own since she was 15 because of violence, domestic violence in the home. This guy witnessed this. And that's often what happens when you have a boyfriend, a guy you know, and he's beating the crap out of his girlfriend. Chances are he learned it from his dad. Chances are he learned it from his father. If the guy, your boyfriend, is an asshole piece of shit, it's because his father was an asshole piece of shit, and more than likely drunk and high. Work hard and drink hard. So the Italian foreman, he would not hire anybody who was not Italian, which means that only the Italians could get those jobs, because those construction jobs are well paying. So they hog all these jobs for themselves. They forgot that they came here without papers. That's why they call them WAP. And I ain't talking about no wet ass pussy. WOP is what they call them, without papers. And for them now to be gainfully employed and not giving chances to anybody else. The reason why I have a problem with this, and I'm making those links, is because Italians that I have known were the first to point out black people are criminals, black people are thieves. Meanwhile, my mother was working at a retirement home, She was sitting outside waiting for her co-worker who gave her a ride home. The little Filipino co-worker was giving my mom a ride home from the nursing home where they worked because it was close. As she's waiting for her, the Italian lady walks past my mom. Bye, and she says bye to my mother. And my mother says bye. And then, boom, from between the woman's legs, or from under her coat, fell a big pot roast. The Italian lady was stealing from the kitchen, smuggling out of there. My mom don't know how many times she did that, how much she'd taken. But chances are, with the loss, they were looking at the black workers when it's the white ones doing the theft. And the reason why they're always so quick to call us thieves is because they are thieves and they're projecting. Look, I'm sick of this shit here. You all are not in Italy. You are not in Portugal. You are not in China. You are not in the Philippines. All of you are racist. And yeah, I said my mother, my mother has all kinds of friends, Italian, and the Italian lady would come here and steal. I saw the lady is buying from my mom. And she tried to distract my mom. And my mom is very easily distracted. She had brain operations, okay? And this woman is walking around the house with her purse. She don't put her purse down. Because she's taking things. And my mom, that's why my mom lives a certain way. She tries to cover up her things, hide her valuable things. And make it look like she's nothing of value. Because people come to our home and steal. We can't have people in the house. Because they steal. And I see when things go missing and I didn't take it, my brother didn't take it, my mom didn't take it, and then somebody else came, well, we know this person didn't take it. But that Italian lady was there. And it's not the first time. My mother hates to point finger at anybody. But she says, this is like, it's been several times something's been missing, and it's after she's been here. So this is like the fourth, fifth time that we are aware of, right? Who knows what else she's taken and we're not aware. But that day I decided I'm going to sit there because I'm sick of things missing and we don't know what happened to it. I'm going to watch this bitch. And sure enough, like, I wasn't even really watching her. But because of how she was moving, I'm like, why is she moving around? My mom is trying to write the bill and she's looking around, looking in boxes. And then she slipped something. I saw her slipping. My God. She slipped it into her bag, her handbag. And I told her right away, I confronted her with, why are you stealing from my mother? Why? Why? And she said, I never steal from Lena. I said, I just saw you. Oh yeah, I will tell her. I was gonna tell her. Well, why didn't you tell her before you put it in your purse? So she can put it on the list of what you're buying. Right? After that, the woman took quite some time before she came back. She took quite some time. In her defense, I believe she may be struggling with dementia. Or maybe she just has a history of being a damn thief. And nobody wanted to call her out on it, but I did. Well, she's no longer a customer. We don't need to have customers who come here and steal. So my big problem with Italian in this city, having been with one, and when he said about he'd bury me with his bulldozer and nobody would find my body because nobody would waste their time looking for me because I'm just a effing nigger. He said that. Where would he learn that from? Furthermore, when he would insist I come to his home. I never wanted to go to his home, but I went to his home as they have neighborhood watch. The neighbors already called his mom, tell them that I was, he had a black girl, putana negra, that's what they call me, putana negra. Now, I had the same experience with a Russian Jew. This Russian Jew was just so into me. I wasn't into guys like that in high school. But one day, he invited me to his home, and they don't live like the other Jews. All the other Jews I knew had nice big brick homes in North York. That's where I grew up. But this one, they lived in a high-rise apartment building. I never knew any Jewish people living in no high-rise building. So they're considered poor, right? I went there, Russian Jew. It looks like, I'm like, why? All the furniture was covered with white sheets. sofa, love seat. So it was weird. Oh no, that's another one. That's another Russian Jew. The other Russian Jew was in a house. They had the money. I don't know why they always want me to go to their home. So I went over there. We were off school early that day. He insists I go home with him. I went home with him. Not that I'm putting out. I'm not giving him no pussy. So, well, a neighborhood watch, saw him go in the house with a black girl. Sure enough, they called his parents. Next thing you know, the guy's telling me next day, oh, I can't be a friend anymore. Oh, no, I can't see you anymore. I'm like, okay, why? What's the problem? Well, the neighbor saw you come into the house with me yesterday, and my parents said that if I don't stop talking to you, I'll be disinherited. I guess for the Jewish boy, it was a big deal. He didn't want to lose his inheritance. He didn't want to lose his riches. And so he had to stop talking to me. Well, thank God, because Sheldon Azule, I was not interested in you anyway. Remember? All of y'all, every one of you pursued me. I never go chase nobody. Y'all come after me first, with no exceptions. And from now I'm more discerning. I don't choose any one of you, whether or not you come to me. My biggest pet peeve was the former police chief, Julian Fantino, who is now, did I hear correctly that Julian Fantino, who used to be the police chief of Toronto, is now the head of cannabis, government, medical marijuana, or whatever, or he's in charge of making sure that all these people can have their cannabis businesses. He is the head of the cannabis bomboclat here. Okay? The same motherfucker who put so many black people in jail for possession of small amounts of cannabis. Right? Now cannabis was so bad when black people were doing cannabis, right? Now all the white people are doing a lot more than just cannabis, because they do their own cannabis that they do hydroponically, that they put all kinds of chemicals in it that when I smell it and I taste it, I want to throw up. It makes me feel nauseated. And they're doing all kinds of stuff, right? But when we're doing our natural thing, they want to prevent us from doing things. And they want to always be policing us and locking us up. But look at them. Look at the things they do. And they have so much hatred in them. So much hatred. Why? I want to ask the Italians and the Jews who hate us, because they do. And the Portuguese too. Is it that bit of African blood in you that you're still pissed off about? You're still angry about that? Because you know you do have it, right? I see some of your hair. Some of you, your hair is... That's why my sister can pass. She can pass for Italian. She can pass for Portuguese. She can pass for Indian. People always asking her what she is, where she's from. Because she's ambiguous. She is ambiguous in her appearance. Right? And that's because my family is mixed. We indigenous roots. You can tell from the roots of our hair. And I'm not talking about the Eritreans, the Somalis, or the Ethiopians who have also similar kind of curl pattern. No, we are decidedly different from the Caribbean with the indigenous population that your so-called Christopher Columbus supposedly discovered when we had already been there. You all have to retell the whole story, the whole world story of how you have told it. You have told many lies about us, and you must correct those lies. And you need to go into these construction sites, and they have to be educated, because the hatred is straight out of their ignorance and envy. They are jealous. They're jealous. You know, some of those Italian guys have big dicks too. Okay, black guys, you're not the only one with big dick. That Italian guy had a big dick. You know, I had a German, he had a big dick. You know what I mean? But mind you, I saw that Polish guy's dick. Oh my God, he was a big man and he had a little dick. But guess what? He knew how to use it. You know, I knew a white boy. He had a little banana dick. He knew how to use it. So it's not about the size. So stop being jealous of guys. Guys, stop being jealous of the guy with the bigger dick. Because chances are he don't even know how to use it. I had a black guy with a big dick. It was so big that he had to hold it at the base. And even then, it was still too big, too long. And he'd say, I'm not hurting you, am I? I'm not. He had this deep, I'm not hurting you, am I? I'm not hurting you, am I? He knew damn well it's not a comfort, it's not a joy, and it is a pain. But he's asking because he gets off on saying that. That's why he liked Asian girls, because I'm a big beast and I'm with this little girl. But he was robbing them too. Yeah, some of the black people will rob you. So will the white people. So will the South Asians, the East Asians, the Southeast Asians. Everyone has their thieves in their midst. Don't just paint only the black people as thieves. Don't just paint only the black people as bad. And if you hate black people so much, make a statement more than a freaking noose on a construction site. You hate us. And we should be able to talk about it. If you think I can go on social media and talk about that without being placed in jail, that's what they like to do. Lock us up, muzzle us. They don't like to hear the truth being spoken freely. And that's why I do this here. I am Domina De La Pie, Mistress Sasha Storm. I know you expected me to say that I'm a thief. No, I'm not. In fact, I'm the one. If I could, I would be a Robin Hood. I would take from the rich to give to the poor. But I am giving to the so-called poor. They're not poor. Africans are not poor. They appear to be poor because that's how you've written the story about them. France, Belgium, Germany, England, all of those European nations have been robbing Africa for generations. The entire continent, country after country, you are robbing them to keep your lifestyle in Europe, because before you discovered the wealth of the African continent, you guys were in some abject poverty. You lived like shit. You did not know about hygiene, cleaning yourselves, even your diet. Now you have in England Jamie Oliver. Jamie Oliver still sticking his finger in food put to his mouth. Jamie Oliver still taking the spoon, putting it in the pot, putting in his mouth, and then add some more thing, and then stir it, and he still put the spoon he had in his mouth back in the pot. Okay, so don't talk shit about us. But hey, I still love Jamie Oliver. He's still the best. He's the best. And yeah, racism on the construction site is very real and has been for a very long time. And when you see the guys working on the streets, every time there's so much construction in my neighborhood, so much, and every time I look at the workers, I look to see if I see any black men. I always, when I see construction, I look to see the black faces, and I don't see them. They're not represented. So how can you keep all of the good high-paying jobs with benefits, and if you don't work, you still get paid? You get time and a half for certain days, and if it rains, you get to go home, but you still get paid rain money, and then you get travel money. You so many perks you put for yourselves, and you prevent the black guys from having those jobs. And then, knowing damn well that you're taking all the money for yourselves, you paint them. You brush them as thieves. You expect them to be thieves because you make sure that they have nothing. Right? It's you are the cause of the financial state of black people. Because you want us to have nothing. Here's a quick story of when I went home. That's why I haven't been too keen to go back home, because of how even my Dominican people can be so hateful against us, those of us of a darker hue. Because my family, the background is, you can see the Indian, the black, and the white, all mixed up, right? And these people always think they're better than the rest of those black people with black skin. So we visited. I went with my mom. She's their darling. She's their little cousin who was, light skin. My mom light skin, and my mom gets. That's why my mom has all these different friends. She just gets accepted everywhere. Actually, my family members seem to be like that, because we don't separate ourselves from people. If they're okay, we hang out with them. We are friends with them. We are friendly with them. Maybe they're friendly with us. But there are black people who actually hate, and that's another story. But on the island, I had taken some things to give away to people, people in need. There was a pair of sandals I brought with me that I never wear. For years I have these sandals, I never wear them. I said, I'm going to the island, let me bring that. It's island shoes, right? Well, somebody will wear that. So as there was a servant, they had a servant, a young black girl. She was probably around 19, maybe 8. She was young, man. And she was my family's servant. She was standing at the sink, loading a dishwasher and then washing the pots. And I saw her because after we would have nice brunch, lunch. We had good meals there. They had these little dwarf coconut trees in the yard. And there I was ready to go downstairs there was an apartment where we stayed. And I saw the black maid. And I said, hey, I looked down at her feet. I said, what size are your feet? And she told me. I said, excellent. I am the same size. And I have brought a pair of sandals from Canada to give to someone. If you don't mind, I would give to you. Let me get them. And she, okay. And as I'm going to get them, the matriarch of the family pulls me aside and says to me, you mustn't give these people things. She said that to me. You mustn't give these people things. What the do you think she meant by that? The girl was black. Now this matriarch, if you look at her, she looks like she's a mix of Indian, black, and Caucasian. They all look like that. They don't look like black, but they're not Indian, and they're certainly not white, but they are all amalgamation, a mixture. And with that mix, they have a sense of superiority. And the worst part about it is they already look down on the black people for whatever stupid reason, because they have some of that black in them. That black blood is coursing through their veins. And they have the black girl maid working there, black skin, dark skin. And this woman says to me, I mustn't give these people things. I looked at my skin, I looked at the girls. We had the same complexion. Why must I not give these people things? And it's the same they did with the black people they had as slaves. Prevent them from having anything. They mustn't have anything. Take everything they have and give them nothing. This has to stop. This has to change. And I want the children to be aware of the wickedness coming from their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and all the ones before them, and sometimes their parents too. Racist, stupid, ignorant. And that's why we have some morons placing nooses at construction sites. And somebody calls in and says, this kind of looks similar to this particular knot I make. I make these knots. Well, maybe you did it. Because all these black guys are seeing that and they're getting freaked out. Because it's like lynching knots, lynching rope. This is not the US, this is Canada. But you all like to cross borders with your racism. The Germans went all the way to South America. Argentina, the most racist place on earth. Argentina, after Belgium. It's your sense of superiority that's born out of you know that you are inferior. You know it. You know it deep down. You know you are inferior. That's why there's a cosmetics industry. The cosmetics industry wasn't for us. Even now the black people are getting involved in this nonsense. It was all of you white people. Augmenting, rhinoplasty, Botox injections, facelift, because you can be hideous. Once you reach the age of 25, it's all going downhill. And we just get better and better, and better and better, and better and better and better. And you envy, and you hate, and you're jealous. And you want to prevent us from achieving. You want to prevent us from rising. You want to prevent us from having. We already have. The world belongs to us. We were here first. Get over it. And you come from us. You come from us. And you're not better than us. Right? You're not. We all have our good and our bad. You can't paint us all with the same brush. That's bullshit. CBC Radio this morning was a program on racism at construction sites in the city of Toronto. It's true, because I had it straight from the horse's mouth that the Italians only hire paisans. And if you're not a paisan, you will not be hired. Thank you. Good day.